as I mentioned, we have 6 recipients, and you're going to hear directly from each one live tonight. And with all that said, I'm going to introduce you to our very first scholarship recipient. His name is Jesus Rodriguez, and he's a senior at Huntington Park Institute of Applied Medicine. Come on.
Before I start my story, I want to give a special thanks to this organization, plus me, for giving this opportunity and to sharing my story. And a special thanks to my counselor who had made it from my school with no time at all. I really appreciate that. And of course, my family right here, who stands by me wherever I go. With that, I'm going to begin with my story. Peering out through the blurred bus window, the thoughts of uncertainty ran rampant. Trying to distract myself, I began to gently bounce my foot up and down, but I slowly gave into my spiraling mind. From time within, it did not exist, and only thoughts of misery. Suddenly, to my degree, the bus had hit a pothole and violently jerked upward, snapping me back into reality. Dazed, I turned my head and checked my surroundings to get any sense of direction. And then my eyes moved on to my brother who had sat next to me. He was using his backpack as a pillow, and his papers were scattered. I had reached over to organize them, but my phone gave a warm buzz in my pocket. Pulling it out, I had seen it was a notification from my mother. She had texted me of her current location so that we could easily find her. Fortunately, she was able to scrape enough money to rent out a hotel for the night. A nice change from sleeping from the backseat of a car. Once we finally reached our stop, I woke my brother up and hastily packed our belongings. Stepping out of the bus, I was greeted by the warm sunlight. Adjusting my eyes, I squinted to the distance and saw my mother waiting in the car. A smile crept on my face. I soon would be with the only thing I could call home. Waiting on the curb, my brain raced with all the thoughts I would tell my mother. How my day went, and all my interactions with all my friends. Looking up, I had seen that the light was now green, so I promptly walked onto the street. But not a second later, a piercing screech invaded in my ears. Turning to discover where the source of the noise was, it was too late to realize the car swerving into my direction. Black. Empty. The next day I knew I was propped up on a hospital bed. The doctor had told me I would need to be placed in a wheelchair due to the impact. With my cast now attached to my leg, I was cleared to leave. But as I was rolled out of the hospital, I faced a new wave of uncertainty. Not only did I have to deal with life being homeless, but I had to navigate it with a wheelchair. This combination had left me in a rapidly deteriorating mindset. It felt like the whole world was against me, and there was nothing I could do to change my circumstances. I had nowhere to go, and my sleeping conditions would change on a daily basis. From couches of friends to family to the backseat of my car, I had nowhere to run. My legs were bound to a wheelchair, and I often needed assistance to go anywhere. I had nowhere to look. I would only see the yellowing cast and a pair of wheels, reminding me of the added burden I was to my family. With my worsening mentality, my grades began to slip as I struggled to pay attention to class. The words of my teachers would fade away as the thoughts invaded my head once more. The homework seemed to be incompletable. It has had bigger problems to face than simple algebra, or to understand what the author tried to convey through his poems or stories. No matter where I went at school, or no matter where I slept that night, I constantly thought over and over again how my life would be different if only I had done something else. Eventually, I began to reflect on all the things I had faced, and because of it, I started to open up to my mother. She was all I had. She was all of my remaining happiness, all of my world. I confided in her. I needed to be strong for my brother. I could not let him feel the weight of the situation as I did. He was too young, and I couldn't let him be exposed to the cruelties of life. So my mother and I would sit down together in the parking lot, waiting for my brother's school to ring, waiting for his silhouette to walk past the door so he could be home with us as well. During this time, we would talk, and after a while, she helped me realize the conclusion that these situations were completely out of my control. I needed to stop blaming myself for what had happened. Moreover, I knew that I could not let these adversities consume me. Rather, I needed to overcome them. With this, I climbed out of the void that was within my mind and into the light of self-acceptance, now beginning to change and take control of the only thing I could, my personal well-being. With this new mindset and goal, I became hopeful for the future ahead. Going to school, I would not try to focus my best on my academics. Even if I continued to struggle on any topic or concept, I would vocalize my issues, raising my hand, turning to my peers, and turning to my teachers. I would make sure I could join tutoring sessions whenever I had the time. And surely enough, progress was made. I saw my grades begin to incline. And I realized not only that I try helping myself, but I would use my personal experience to help others around me. Sympathizing with those who were facing their own adversities, I had tried to help anyone I could. As time passed, these values only strengthened as I met more people who would unlock new experiences in my life. Fortunately, by the end of my school year, my family found a stable home to rent, and I had gotten out of my cast. It was a huge relief as I would step into a new chapter of my life, literally. But even though I had overcame my homelessness and disability, I would not forget the lessons I had learned. That I must not blame myself for what life threw at me, and I must not let these adversities consume me. Additionally, I continue this notion of not only doing my best for myself, but for also those that are around me who may be facing the same issues. Now, with my new school, I began this notion as well. This started with tutoring students after school who had struggled to understand the lessons or complete homework. And afterwards, it felt great knowing that I could be of an assistance to help improve their grades. Preceding this, I had wanted to reach out to more kids, and I turned to my school's leadership, where now I stand as the ASB president. Even though at first it was a virtual setting, I was implemented into the hybrid system, and now in person, which I continue to this day, doing as much as I can. Making the school a better place through academic achievement and making sure that inclusion is no stranger to any student. However, I didn't stop there, as I still wanted to do more. So I turned to my community. From volunteering at events hosted by Key Club or by my home city, Huntington Park, I wanted to be a part of the cause that strives to help families in need, to lend out a helping hand like I had needed before, where they had nowhere else to run to. Even to this day, I'm always signed up for any types of drives, any types of assistance, from food drives, clothing, or other basic necessities. Anything that could get these families to achieving their own happiness, to being able in a stable mindset. Anything I could. And now, going forward in life, I hold these values still close to my heart. I continue to practice my self-prevalence, though anything in life throws at me, and helping those in need whenever and wherever I can. I'll be always happily volunteer my time, and I'll always focus on my academic future. And now, instead of peering out of a blurred window of uncertainty, I peer out into a clear window full of opportunity.